Breaking news, January 09, 2026. The headline is designed to stop you in your tracks. Oreshnik IRBM in kinetic version. How effective is it, and what is its power? And this isn't just another missile strike. We're talking about the potential second combat use of what's been called a game changer. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Area in the latest Deep Dive by Defense Report for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today, we're going to cover the terrifying potential of the Oreshnik Intermediate Range Ballistic Missile, or IRBM, following these new reports of its deployment against the Lviv region.
And we've been digging through all the open source analysis.
We have. And what it reveals is something truly unconventional, a high-speed kinetic warhead. But the big question we're tackling is why? Why deploy a weapon that can hit Mach 10 for a conventional strike? Is it really unstoppable?
Or is it, and this is what we're going to get into, a sign of something much more complicated? Our mission today is to look past the hype, the propaganda, and understand the real strategy and the staggering costs behind this thing.
Right. There seems to be a huge disconnect here.
A major disconnect between the technological spectacle and the actual tactical efficiency.
Okay, so let's start with what just happened. The facts on the ground. Overnight, January 8th to 9th.
Ukraine faced another one of these massive combined barrages. Drones, missiles, the usual pattern, aimed at Kyiv and critical infrastructure.
But the real headline was the impact deep in western Ukraine, in the Lviv region.
Exactly. Mayor Sadovyi in Lviv and the Air Force spokesman, Enot, both confirm they're analyzing fragments, but all the initial signs point to Oreshnik.
And the speed was just incredible.
The reports say about 13,000 kilometers per hour. I mean, that is not a cruise missile. It's not even a standard air-launched ballistic missile. That kind of speed points directly to this system.
And Russia immediately claimed responsibility. They said it was launched from Kapustin Yar and was retaliation for some kind of alleged Ukrainian drone attempt.
Right, the usual claim and counterclaim. But setting that aside, the target itself, Lviv, tells you a lot.
Because it's a major logistics hub for Western aid.
It's the primary hub. So hitting it with a strategic weapon like this, it's a political signal, a very clear one. It's meant to exhaust Ukrainian air defenses by mixing these super high-speed threats with slower drones.
We saw this before, didn't we? Back in November 2024.
Yes, with the first confirmed use against the Uzmash facility in Dnipro.
And that's a key point. These aren't frontline targets.
No, not at all. They're using a strategic level weapon for what is, on the surface, a conventional strike.
Yeah.
And that's a very deliberate choice.
Okay, so let's get technical for a moment. Define Oreshnik for us. What exactly is an IRBM?
So an IRBM is an intermediate-range ballistic missile. It sits in that really dangerous middle ground, with a range between 500 and 5,500 kilometers.
These were the weapons at the heart of the Cold War, the ones that cut warning times down to just minutes.
Precisely. And Oreshnik is reportedly flying at speeds over Mach 10. That's 11 to 12 kilometers a second. It's just phenomenally fast.
And the name Oreshnik means hazel shrub. They say that's a reference to its payload.
It is. It refers to the MIRV configuration, multiple independently targetable reentry vehicles. The footage from Dnipro appeared to show 6 separate blocks coming down.
So it's not one big warhead, it's 6 smaller guided ones.
Which makes it much harder to intercept. But what's really fascinating here is that this isn't some brand new cutting-edge piece of tech.
Wait, what do you mean? It's being presented as their latest superweapon.
I know, but analysis of the components, the actual markings on the wreckage, dates some parts back to 2017. It's a Frankenstein's monster of a missile.
So they're bolting together older parts.
It strongly suggests as a modification of existing platforms. Maybe the old RS-26 Rubez project, or even tech from the avant-garde hypersonic vehicle. Ukrainian intelligence even linked it to something called the KED system.
Why do that? If you want to show off your new tech, why build it from old inventory?
A few reasons, I think. First, it's a shortcut. You can convert old ICBM boosters into a new IRBM system without building a whole new production line.
So it's faster and cheaper.
Much faster. Second, it lets you field a new capability without waiting a decade for R&D. And third, and this is the most important part, it creates strategic ambiguity.
How so?
Because you're building a supposedly conventional weapon on a platform that was historically designed to deliver nuclear warheads. That deliberately blurs the lines. It makes NATO's response planning a nightmare.
Okay, let's talk about the warhead itself. It's purely kinetic, No explosives.
Right. This is all about raw speed and mass. It's basically the modern realization of that old rods from God concept.
Just a heavy object moving incredibly fast.
Exactly. These are non-explosive, probably very dense metal projectiles, but they hit the ground moving at something like 2 to 3 kilometers a second.
I saw a calculation that a 500-kilogram warhead at that speed has the energy of about 538 kilograms of TNT.
It does, but that number can be abstract.
So paint a picture for us. What's the difference between this and a normal bomb?
Okay, a conventional explosive creates a huge blast wave. It flattens buildings, shatters windows over a wide area. A kinetic warhead is like a massive hypervelocity bullet. All its energy is focused on a tiny point.
So it's a penetrator.
A super penetrator. It can go through meters of reinforced concrete, hardened bunkers, and cause total destruction inside from the sheer force and heat of the impact.
And speaking of heat, that fiery streak we see in the videos. That's not the engine, is it?
No, not at all. That's pure aerodynamic heating. At Mach 10 in the atmosphere, the friction is so intense, the surface of the missile can get hotter than 4,000 degrees Celsius.
That's insane.
It's almost 2/3 the temperature of the sun's surface. The missile is literally glowing white hot as it comes down, which helps it just burn through whatever it hits. It's a multi-ton hammer made of fire.
Which brings us to the central paradox of this whole thing.
Exactly. We've talked about this spectacular, terrifying technology, but detailed analysis reveals a huge flaw.
Its effectiveness versus its cost.
The cost is just astronomical. It has to be launched on an ICBM-class booster. That alone can cost anywhere from $50 to over $100 million. Per launch. And then you add the cost of the specialized materials that can handle that heat, the guidance systems. A single Oreshnik strike is probably north of $60 million.
So compare that to the alternative.
Well, a standard cruise missile, a very effective one, costs maybe $1 to $2 million. For the price of one Oreshnik shot, you could launch 50, maybe 100 cruise missiles.
And do way more damage. The military logic just, it doesn't add up.
It's economically insane for any kind of sustained conflict. And the results from that first strike in Dnipro seem to confirm this.
What did the satellite imagery show?
It showed a clear hit. There were fires, localized perforations in the building, but it was not totally annihilated. The damage was actually described as moderate.
So, not a very big bang for a very, very big buck.
You're paying 100 times the price for damage that a cheaper weapon could have achieved more effectively, which leads to one conclusion.
The weapon isn't really military, it's political.
It has to be. Its primary use is psychological warfare. It's a strategic announcement, a way to show the West, look what we can do. It's about intimidation, signaling resolve, especially after Ukraine has had success with its own long-range strikes.
It's a statement piece, not a sustainable weapon of war.
And that statement is aimed directly at Europe, which brings us to the INF Treaty.
Right, the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. We can't talk about this without talking about that.
It was one of the most important arms control deals ever. Signed in 1987, it banned these exact missiles, the ones with a range between 500 and 500 kilometers.
The whole point was to increase warning time in Europe, to prevent a hair-triggered nuclear war.
Exactly. And when the U.S. withdrew in 2019, that guardrail disappeared. Oreshnik is a direct result of that treaty collapsing.
And Moscow was explicitly framing it that way, saying that because the West allowed Ukraine to strike inside Russia, the conflict now has elements of a global character.
That framing is key. It's their justification for using a strategic asset in this war. And the threat isn't just theoretical anymore.
Because of the deployment in Belarus?
Yes. Recent reports confirm the Oreshnik system is now in Belarus. From there, it can hit any major European capital. Every strategic target is in range.
And this goes back to what you said about ambiguity. The real threat is that you don't know what kind of warhead it's carrying.
And you can't know. Experts are clear on this. There is no way to tell if it's carrying a conventional kinetic warhead or a nuclear one until it hits.
What a terrifying decision for NATO commanders to have to make in minutes.
Do you underreact to a potential nuclear strike? Or do you overreact to what might be a very expensive but limited conventional one? It just massively raises the stakes.
And what about Putin's claims that it's unstoppable, that it's immune to U.S. missile defense?
You have to take that with a huge grain of salt. Yes, the speed and the MIRV payload make interception incredibly difficult. But modern interceptors are designed specifically to counter MIRVs.
So immunity is a political claim, not a technical fact.
Absolutely. We've even seen disinformation campaigns with fake quotes from Western experts supposedly calling it unbeatable. The propaganda is a central part of the weapon's psychological effect.
So let's just tie this all together for everyone listening.
Oreshnik is a technological marvel built on old parts. Its speed is real, but its efficiency as a conventional weapon is, frankly, terrible because of the cost. Its main purpose is as a high-cost political signal.
It's meant to escalate, to raise the threat level for Europe, and to blur that critical line between conventional and nuclear war.
It's like using a $1 million hammer when a $1,000 wrecking ball would do a better job. The cost is immense, the damage is focused, but the message it sends to NATO couldn't be clearer.
And that leaves a pretty sobering final thought for you, the listener, to consider.
What are the risks to global stability when a weapon system designed for strategic nuclear deterrence gets pulled down and used for these limited conventional strikes? Does doing that over and over again slowly erode the very foundation of strategic deterrence?
You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex Sanaria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.